Alright, what is up, everybody? Welcome to another video of Zelda here. Today we're going to be talking about the top 10 bosses I absolutely need to see in Elden Ring Nightreign. These are completely my opinion, and I'm not putting them in any order. These are just the top 10 that I could think of that I absolutely want to see. They're not in order, though, so let me know what you guys think you want to see in Nightreign down below in the comments, and if you disagree with any of the choices I have here in this video, let me know why you disagree and who you think would be a better option. But anyway, let's kick this right off with the first one, and I'm gonna say Raim, the Fume Knight from Dark Souls 2. Dark Souls 2 had a lot of your stereotypical man in armor, big man, big weapon, I attack, you dodge kind of bosses. But Raim is the quintessential melee fight one on one. It is just so good, so solid. He has a very diverse moveset, one that is capable of dealing with multiple adversaries at once. And I think if they add him in Nightreign and really beef him up, he could really be an insanely challenging fight. He's got those massive AoEs and that phase 2 transition with the giant fiery sword where he gets rid of his offhand sword and just goes crazy with the fume sword. It is just so satisfying, and I think he could be an outstanding boss, especially if they show him a little love, update him, bring him up to current standards. Because Dark Souls 2 was a little slow, a little clunky, but speed him up a little bit, and he is going to be devastatingly brutal. All right, on to the next one. And this is a 2-for-1 boss because I feel like if you're going to have one, you have to have the other. And you can't have one of these guys and have it feel good against three people, especially with Elden Ring's combat system and weapons and ashes and stuff. Like, you have to have both of these guys. And you might be thinking I'm thinking of Ornstein and Smo, but no, that is not the case. I'm talking about Artorias, the Abyss Walker, and his great gray wolf, Sif. I want to see a prime Artorias and a prime Sif together fighting. I just feel like that would be so sick, just so cool. And since you've got two guys, it makes it makes it a little bit harder for three people to just get in there and gank a boss when there's two of them. And I feel like we never got to see Artorias in his prime, so if they were to bring Artorias back without Sif, I would be cool with that, but they would have to bring him up to his full state of power, not the deranged abyss infected version that we fight in Dark Souls 1. But I feel like both of them together would blow the socks off the Dark Souls 1 fan base, like the OG fans especially, who that was like their first Souls game, because I remember how much of an uproar there was after the release of the DLC. Man, everybody became an Artorias fanboy. And who can blame them? We, as the player, build his legacy. We help his legacy become fulfilled, and the legend of Artorias is actually us. That's just so cool. And then the cutscene with Sif, it's just a really cool boss. There's a huge love for him in the fan base, and I feel like everyone would be happy to see him come back. Now, the next boss on my list, this might be asking a lot, to put it lightly. We already have Nameless King. They've showed us in this trailer. It's in this trailer right here, actually, that's playing in the background. But I want to see his dad. I want Gwen. Or Soul of Cinder. You could call it whatever you want. I just want Gwen again. I feel like Soul of Cinder was close. It was close to being a good Gwen fight, like an up-to-date Gwen fight, but I want even more. I want prime Gwen slinging sunlight like a motherfucker, just blasting people. I want that so bad. Because Gwen is the Lord of Sunlight. And in Dark Souls 1, yeah, he's hollow because he linked the fire and his soul's kind of gone or whatever. It's lost all of its power. But I want to see him just in his prime, just electric city. He's going to be blasting people with lightning spears nonstop. I feel like that would be so cool. But yeah, that's probably asking a lot, and I don't really expect that to happen, but I really want to see it. Now, the next one is also a boss from Dark Souls 3, uh, Udix Gundyr, or more specifically, Champion Gundyr. I love Gundyr. I think he is such a cool boss. His moveset is so unique. There's been multiple mods that take his moveset and kind of, take bits and pieces of it because it's so good and so unique. And it's just so fun to fight him in melee, especially if you're adept at parrying. It's very satisfying. And the reason I say Champion Gundyr and not Udix Gundyr is because Udix Gundyr's moveset is very plain and basic. And when he transforms into the Pus of Man, it's I don't know, it just doesn't feel like a good fight anymore at that point. But Champion Gundyr, with all his mix-ups, his like time delayed attacks that he can do, he's just a really satisfying fight. And I feel like if they really amp him up and give him a massive speed boost, maybe some new attacks, he could be just so good for three people to fight against. Make him more agile, even more maneuverable. Give him some dodges. I feel like that could be insanely good. Maybe tweak his AI to make him aggro swap just a little bit more, kind of like Rame does. Because when you're playing Fume Knight in co-op, he's very adept at swapping aggro and keeping people on their toes. You can't just spam him with arrows or spam him with spells or whatever at a distance. He will come for you, especially if you try and chug on him. And I feel like you give Champion Gundyr some of that, and he's going to be pretty devastating. Next boss on the list. I mean, come on, everyone. It might not be a boss, like it might not be a boss fight in Nightreign, but you cannot deny after seeing the network test, seeing I think it was just called Fell Omen. It was basically Margit invading you. You can't see that and not include the Pursuer from Dark Souls 2. Dark Souls 2's Pursuer is perfect for this game. Just have him show up out of the blue. He's got that backpack full of weapons. Let's let him use those weapons, employ them, give him an insane moveset. He's got all those weapons on his back. There's like great bows, spears, swords, shields, like all that shit. Give that all to him and give him just a very unique, very difficult to grasp moveset and turn him into a really menacing fight that follows you around the map and hunts you down. I feel like that would be so much fun and just so cool, especially since he is, to me, one of the more unique big guy in heavy armor characters that they've ever made, and I really enjoy fighting him. I don't know if he's necessarily good for a game where it's based around three people. I feel like it would be a little easy to gank him, but if they give him, some good move sets, update him a little bit, give him some more variety, I think he could be pretty reasonable. All right, and the next one, we got another 2-for-1. Another 2-for-1. I want to see a Demon Prince from Dark Souls 3. Demon Prince is the best duo fight From Software has ever made. You've got the demon in pain and the demon from below. One will always be in an aggroed state who's rushing you down and trying to melee you with his claws, and the other one kind of sits in the back and shoots these poison blasts at you over and over again, so you're only ever getting super pressured by one at a time. And if you go and attack the one that's ranged, he'll actually transform into the one that's aggroed, and the one you left behind will take on that ranged state. And the coolest part about the fight is when you kill them, the fight's not over. You've got round two, because the second one you killed, the last one you killed, becomes the Demon Prince. He bamfs out his wings, he grows in size, and depending on which one you killed last, gets additional moves in his moveset, additional spells, abilities, and I think that is just a cool concept that would be perfect for Nightreign, especially since he is just, I don't know, he would be really good for one of those large, wide open boss rooms like we've seen on these day 3 bosses so far, and I feel like he would just fit perfectly into this. Let's see. The next one on my list. Actually, we're going to skip him and save him for last because I do think he is the most important one to have. The next one on my list is Giant Lord slash Last Giant from Dark Souls 2. And now you may be wondering, what the hell? That's like one of the worst bosses in Dark Souls 2. It's the starter boss and one of the final bosses you fight in a run. And hear me out. I think if you combined the Giant Lord with the Last Giant, so take his move set when he's like enraged in the last giant fight, but give him the Giant Lord with the sword, like give him the sword instead of his own arm, and then give him something additional in his offhand, like some kind of spell casting or, something like that. Maybe a shield even. Good lord, that would be insane. But I don't know. Giant Lord has always been a boss that I never really cared for, but the Last Giant is one of the most memorable bosses. And I know I'm probably a little biased because Dark Souls 2 was my first game. So the first boss I fought was the Last Giant. And I just remember walking in there for the first time, seeing that cutscene, him just as soon as he sees us, he just goes into this berserker rage and just charges you. And I just thought that was really cool. And then later in the game, you find out why he gets so mad when he sees you. It's because he is the Giant Lord, and you are the one that put him in that state that he's in because you killed him upon the battlements of the castle as it was being attacked. Like, that's just so cool. And he is such a cool, underrated boss in the franchise. And I would love to see them like breathe some new life into him, especially since he was on the more basic side of things for sure. But yeah, let's move on to the next one. And now the next one is probably going to raise some eyebrows because I know people are going to hear me say this and they're going to shit a brick. But I want the Chaos Flame to be a boss. Like Dark Souls 2's Chaos, the lava where you fight the Ivory King, and the Bed of Chaos from Dark Souls 1. I want you to take the chaos, like the fire itself, and create a boss that just births demons, and we're literally fighting fire. Like, I just feel like that would be so cool. It would be less of a boss fight and more of like an ad clear or like just a mob fight, like a wave defense kind of mode, I guess. It'd be less boss fighty and more just fighting a whole bunch of mobs. But I feel like if you do that right, you bring back a bunch of the demons, like the Capra demons, these Asylum demons, the Taurus demons. You got those stone demons, the Centipede demons already in the game. We've got those larvae demons. Like, there's so many demons that you could incorporate into that. Hell, you could even bring in some of the Aleum Lois Knights as, like, demonic, like, possessed suits of armor, kind of like the ones from the Ivory King boss fight. I don't know. I just think that would be really cool. I know that's asking a lot because that's a lot of asset reuse, and people are already complaining about that as it is. So I don't really foresee that happening, but I do think it would be insanely cool. And the next one on my list is a no-brainer. This is just absolutely a no-brainer. If you've played Dark Souls 2 and you have fought this boss, then you will 100% agree that it should come back in some form in the future. I do think Nightreign is a good boss, or a good time to bring this boss back, and I'm talking about the Dark Lurker. Dark Lurker is one of those bosses that is hidden away behind a quest line, and it's easy to overlook or miss him completely in your playthrough. So, and I did that multiple playthroughs of Dark Souls 2 before I actually finally found him and fought him. And he is a really cool boss. He's got a lot of projectiles. He floats around in the air. He kind of looks like this angel type creature. And he splits, I think, into two. It might even be into three. I can't remember. But I do remember him splitting into two for sure. And so you have to, like, worry about the one you're fighting, while the other one, or maybe even two, are shooting like dark spells at you. And that would be perfect for Nightreign, especially since Nightrein's going to have three people. Have that boss split just like the Tricephalus boss, or the Gladius, whatever you want to call him, from the beta, or the network test. And I feel like that would just fit perfectly. I mean, I don't know what else to say about him. He's just a really solid boss, got good mechanics, he's not cheap, no unfair hitboxes, and he just feels good to fight, and I feel like Nightrein's perfect to bring him in. And the last one on my list, number 10, I did save the best for last, and I don't know how controversial this will be. I know there's a lot of glazers out there, but I'm not necessarily a glazer of this guy, but guys, it's gotta be Gale. Gale from Dark Souls 3. I feel like if they gave him a bamfed up Phase 3, because you know in Phase 3 in the base game, he has all that blue lightning that spawns, but he doesn't really do anything with it. And I feel like if they gave him some just insane ice lightning, like some Elden Ring blue lightning, give him some of that, just like make him crazy. Oh man, Gale's already such a strong fight. It's such a good fight. Definitely one of the top bosses From Software has ever made, especially for the Dark Souls series. Like, that game just feels so good when you're fighting him. It feels like he was specifically designed to be like the quintessential boss for the conclusion of Dark Souls. And he is just so good. The lore around him is so interesting. And I don't know how they could make or adjust him for three people. He is pretty mobile already, especially in Phase 3 when he can like literally teleport and stuff. But I don't know. Gale's just one of those bosses that anyone who's ever played through the entire series of Dark Souls, when you finally finish Dark Souls 3 for the very first time and you finish that Gale fight for the first time, it just, I don't know, it's there's like this sense of melancholy but also like just pure joy. It just feels so good. Like Gale is just a perfect FromSoft boss. There's almost no downsides to him whatsoever. And I almost chose another boss to go in this slot, so I'm just going to go ahead and throw them in. I've got a couple that I didn't talk about that I'll throw in as honorable mentions. I definitely think that Midir should come back. And I know what you're thinking. Oh my god, not another dragon. Please, for the love of God, not another dragon. We do not need any more dragons to fight in Elden Ring. And I get it. I get it. But Gale, I mean, sorry, not Gale, Midir is just so good. It's the best dragon they have ever made. Change my mind if you disagree. He is better than Bale. All you Bale glazers out there, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Yeah, it's cool and he's got a lot of particle effects, but dude, when it comes down to the fight itself, Midir is like a fluid dance. You're like, he's the jug and you're the water, and you form around whatever he's doing and react to whatever he's doing. It's a flow, it's a dance. Like, it's so good. Bale is just a clusterfuck of random hitboxes, AoEs, and just bullshit mechanics. It doesn't feel good to fight him unless you're a caster. I don't see why Bale is getting so much love. And I'm not trying to turn this into a Bale hate fest, but Midir is the best dragon. You will not change my mind. It's just not going to happen. Yes, I'm biased, okay? Yes, I am biased. I can admit that. But anyway, other honorable mentions. Ornstein and Smo, definitely. I can see why people are saying they would like to see him or them return, but I don't know. Godskin Duo is basically just O and S, but unbalanced, or I don't know, they don't flow together well. It doesn't feel good to fight them like it did with Ornstein and Smo. But to be 100% honest, I just feel like with the current way like Elden Ring feels, I feel like if you put Ornstein and Smo into the game, they would just be so easy. Like, they would have to speed up both of them considerably to make them like genuinely threatening. But I don't know. But anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thank you so much for listening to me ramble, because I didn't write a script for this. I just wanted to talk, because that's just... Anytime I can sit down and talk about From Software and my love for the Soul series, I'll do it. You don't have to ask. I automatically sign up. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Did I forget any bosses that are just insanely good that you absolutely must see? Let me know. And until the next one, I'll see you guys then.